Going through the separation, there's moments where it would have been really easy to paint my ex-wife as just this bad person. I haven't gone that route, but I understand why people do. Hi, my name is Alex, and welcome to the First Step Forward. In today's video, I kind of want to pull back the curtain on something that I've been dealing with recently, and that's trying to maintain a balance of not trying to villainize or paint like my ex-wife as a bad person. And why that's hard to do, because that temptation to do that is very real. It makes things just easier to essentially just simplify things. It says, well, she did me wrong, and that's that. It makes things where I don't have to think about any nuances. I don't have to think about her upbringing or how she deals with emotions, her coping mechanisms, her patterns. Like, all those things would just be thrown out the window if I can just simply just put a label on her and classify her as someone who just doesn't care. But that's not fair to her. It's not fair to our relationship. It's not fair to our kids. And that's something that I refuse to do, is just put a label on it and leave it at that. There's layers to people, and I see that. And for me, it doesn't even feel right to do that, to cast her as this bad person. My wife and I were together for almost 12 years. There's been a lot of good in our relationship. And for me, I don't make light of that. I see that things weren't perfect, but there was plenty of good times. I felt genuine love. I felt genuine care throughout our relationship. So for me to essentially try to simplify things as just, she's just this bad person, that wouldn't be my honest truth. That wouldn't be fair to her. Wouldn't be fair to the relationship that we had. It wouldn't be fair to our kids as well. And truthfully, it wouldn't help either one of us. It would just kind of leave me more emotionally connected to her if I'm having all this resentment towards her. And it wouldn't benefit us as trying to be co-parents moving forward. So that's why, I refuse to just paint her as this bad person. With that said, there are certain moments where that thought creeps in my mind of how could she have done this to me? Why did she do this? Or just didn't care. But I have to remind myself that she's human at the end of the day. When I look back on our relationship, I view that we were two imperfect people who got together very young, still trying to learn life, essentially. Or there was a lot of things about our own selves that we need to learn, and that we're now trying to figure out. But we didn't really have that time to do that, because once we had kids, our focus shifted so much on our kids that we didn't really take the time to do the internal work that we probably needed to do. So at the end of the day, I'm while I sometimes do struggle with trying to keep that balance of understanding that no one was just like this bad person or a villain in the story. I'm trying to find a balance of just we were two human beings who I believe genuinely care for each other, that had things that they need to work on. But with kids being involved in our situation, I don't want them to ever feel like they have to choose between myself or my ex-wife. I know my ex-wife cares deeply about our kids, and so do I. And I don't want my kids to ever feel like that I believe that she's this bad person, because I don't. I want my kids to feel like there's love and care from me to her. I want my kids to feel like mom and dad loves me and cares for me going through a separation or a divorce. And it's unfortunate that the kids have to be affected by that. And for me, I'm trying to minimize as much of that effect as possible, because this had nothing to do with them. And I don't want this to have a long-term effect on them as much as possible. So I'm trying my best to minimize that. And a part of that is not painting your partner as this bad person, because you don't want that to potentially influence how your kids view the other parent, because that could be truly detrimental. So when thoughts kind of come to my mind where I want to just paint my ex-wife as this bad person, I have to stop and take a deep breath, and really reflect truly, because I have to remind myself essentially that I also had patterns and had behaviors that were a true reflection of me and how I cared and how I valued my ex-wife, that essentially that I need to work on. I don't believe I was this bad person. I had things that I need to work on, and I've since done that and will continue to do that. So it's so while I give myself grace, it's important to also give my ex-wife grace in that aspect too. Like, I don't believe she intentionally did these things knowing that, like, I'm gonna do this to hurt Alex. I don't believe that was the case. So just trying to be understanding of, like, between the why things happen, and like understanding she's just a human at the end of the day. She has her own stuff that she's either working on, may work on, and different things, upbringing that kind of contribute to behavior, and just trying to understand that she's human at the end of the day. Again, like, impact of behavior is real. That doesn't just go away because you understand the intent, or just because you understand the person as a whole. But it does give you at least compassion or grace in that situation, to not just say, simplify it as like she just doesn't care. So that's something that helps me, is just reminding myself that she's human at the end of the day. And as humans are, everyone has their own flaws. Everyone makes mistakes. So that's something that I try to always to help me recenter myself. What makes this quite the challenge is that I have to continuously choose to not view her as a bad person or villainize her. Like, it'd be nice if that was just like a one-time decision, but like, I have to constantly choose that and be intentional with it. There will be future conversations. There will be times where I'm looking back on the situation, and I would like be tempted to have that mindset of like, oh yeah, she just didn't care. Like, how could she do this to me, and all these different things. But it's gonna be continuous, either reflections or more future conversations that make me think back to what happened. And I have to continue choosing to see it in a more balanced approach, and remind myself that there's nuances to this. So as much as it would be easy if it was just to make this decision, that'd be it, I have to continue making that decision. And that does add a bit of a challenge to it. I'm not saying this is easy, because it's not. But for me, I'd rather deal with the discomfort now and work things out the right way than take the easier route that just creates more problems later. And if you're in a similar situation, I get how hard that balance can be. If this is something you're also struggling with, I'd love to hear your story too in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos just like this, but I'll see you on the next one.